that we would make it, but we is. Started from the bottom, now we looking top tier. Know that we the chose, so they made us feel the fear. I see God appear when I look into the mirror. I know that I'm the chose, yeah. And it's time to give us back the identity they stole. Rest in peace to the nigga that they try to make a me. Gotta elevate these bones, cause we the stand. Waking up the dead so they finally understand. Now look at what is wrong, cream of the crop. No matter the problem, we rising to the top. I'm the progeny, God stand.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of the God Standard podcast. We are here today with our sister Aneesa Muhammad. I'm so excited for this show. For those of you, if it's your first time watching the show or if you don't know, here at the God Standard podcast, the aim is to bring light and life to the original people of the planet by sharing stories of regular people like you, like me, who have used the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to extend their life, expand their life, and become gods in their own respective lane. So I'm really, really excited to have our sister on today. Thank you for being here, Sister Aneesa.
Praise you to Allah. Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. So I'm going to share a little bit of a bio before we get to know our sister more personally. Okay, so Sister Aneesa Muhammad is a wife, mother, and dedicated follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. She is a premarital and newlywed coach, actively serving within the Nation of Islam, where she offers coaching services to individuals and couples navigating the early stages of marriage. In addition to her coaching endeavors, Aneesa is now retired, founder of CEO and Ace Enna Collections, a fashion brand that reflected her commitment to modesty, elegance, and empowerment, aligning with her deeply held cultural and religious values. Aneesa engages with the community through the Master Call and the Women's Circle program held twice weekly. These initiatives aim to foster unity, spiritual growth, and personal development among participants. She is utilizing social media to share insights into her family life, faith, and professional journey. Through her multifaceted roles as a coach, entrepreneur, and community leader, Aneesa Muhammad exemplifies a commitment to empowering others and promoting holistic well-being and faith-based success within her community. Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. How are you today, sis?
I'm fantastic. Quick thing before we start. Your camera keeps doing this, like it'll stop for a moment.
Okay.
And like readjust and then it'll come back in. It's really only for a moment. I don't know if I'm the only one that sees it or if everybody else sees it.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Thank you for the heads up.
No problem. No problem.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. So I just want to jump right in, and I know that you're a nation baby.
Yeah.
So I want to know what your upbringing was like, being generational nation baby. What was it like, and how has that impacted your view of yourself right now?
It's a great question. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family, and again, thank you for having me. So, being born and raised in a nation of Islam, my childhood was very Islamic. Everything was Islam. So we played lectures, not literally necessarily playing lectures, which we did, but we played the game lecture. So somebody would be the minister, somebody has to be the audience, somebody has to be security. That was the ebb and flow. My father and my mother homeschooled us. I was homeschooled all the way up until I was 9 years old, until we moved to Pennsylvania. And then that was my first time ever being around the general population of human beings and going to public school. Right. But prior to that, my homeschool experience was with me and my siblings and the other children in Islam in my community. And my father would do science classes in our living room. My mother would do math. It would be really great. it was just the culture. The culture of my upbringing was Islamic to the point that I didn't know where until I got older. Um, I didn't realize, seeing the way some of my peers were raised, how much of Islam was in our home
Right.
because it was just the way we lived.
Right.
I was like, oh, everybody doesn't do this in their house. Like, so yeah, and the way it's impacted me in my adulthood, and Islam does this in the general sense. I really don't even want to put it as being a like nation baby that growing up in Islam has made me a specific type of adult, because I've said it before and I'll say it again and I'll continue saying it, is that just because you were born in a nation does not mean that you have the nation in you. Like, you have Islam in you.
Right.
Many of us fumble the ball and we grow up in these teachings, and then we grow older and we don't want this.
Right.
Many of us grow up in Islam, and then if you ask us an Islamic question, we actually don't know how to answer it.
Right. Right.
We
Right.
never learned it for ourselves.
Right.
We just, it's like going to church when you're younger. Your grandmother take you to church, your mom take you to church. Doesn't mean that you'll be a church goer when you get older, or you strive to be Christ-like.
Right. Right.
It
Right.
just means that that's where you went as a child, and that's how your childhood was.
Right.
But I'll say for me specifically, having an Islamic life and my parents like just making that the ebb and flow of our days. Now it has absolutely allowed me to approach, by the grace of Allah, approach problems with Allah in mind.
Right. Right.
And be able to navigate through a lot of things that otherwise, if I did not have these teachings as something that I can go to and look through
Right.
and be like, okay, I remember it says this in the Quran, or I remember the minister said this in the lecture, to be able to get me out of a jam. If I did not have that, I know for a fact that I am not wise enough on my own to solve any of the problems that I faced in life.
Right.
I would be in a very different stage in my life. So Islam has given me the confidence to know that I can navigate, and that's probably been the most important thing for me, because life is all about problem solving.
Absolutely. 100%.
100%.
I actually like that you speak about like you differentiate between like, you know, or shed light on rather, growing up in the nation versus not. Because when I came into the nation, I was always like, and of course the grass always seems greener on the other side, but I was like, man, I wish I grew up in the nation because I wouldn't have to deal with certain things in like navigating my Islam. But you also shed light on like the fact that there's a whole other realm of, you know, problems or issues, things that you have to face. Like you said, life is problem solving, right? That you have to face even still growing up in Islam.
100%.
And I actually just made a post this morning because this has been on my mind, and is like the thinking of like dogmatic thinking, right? And like as you said, it's like you can grow up in the nation and like someone asks you a question and it's like you don't even know. It's just like you grew up in it, but you don't actually know. And a lot of times that's what happens. And it's like we can look at Christians and be like, yeah, like people are brainwashed, or like, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's almost like the same thing if we don't actually use the teachings, you know what I mean? If we don't actually study and we don't actually like do what we're instructed to do. So thank you for shedding light on that.
Praise be to Allah.
And I think, you know, one of the things that I really love about your personality and your platform, how you like show up on social media, is that you're very honest. And I think that is very important. And especially like even this podcast, for example, right? I understand the benefit and the value in sharing people's stories, because it's one thing to say like this person, like for example, if you say Minister Farrakhan did this, or Muhammad Ali did this, or Malcolm X did this, it's like there's almost like a huge gap in between me and them, right? But then it's like you're a real person, right? And you're sharing your story, you're sharing your not only the good things but the pitfalls, the struggles, you know what I mean? So and I acknowledge that it takes a certain type of person and a certain perspective of yourself and the world to like show up honestly and not be like torn down or, you know, just not be yes, exactly, not be ashamed of like, you know, your shortcomings. So what like inspired you initially to, you know, show up in this way, to share your story?
What inspired me? That's such a phenomenal question, right? Because honestly, what inspired me to show up is the Black stigma of this stays in our household. And if everything stays in the family, then how does one generation help the other?
Right.
If everything stays, all the flaws, all the goods, all the bad, everything just stays in one confined spot. It's like, how the recipes gonna get passed down if we don't share them? And like most Black people, that's how we grew up. And it's like, don't talk about this outside of the. It's people. What do people think? I don't care.
Right.
I just always kind of had that attitude of like, I was the child that told all my family's business.
Right.
Like,
there's always one of those.
There's always one of those. You know, yesterday my mommy did it.
Right.
I was always saying the business.
Right.
And of course, as you get older, you gotta have some tact, right? But that personality was always there. So my grandmother, may Allah be pleased, my grandma Lorraine, she used to call me comes up, comes out. And I remember when I was like maybe 15 or so, I asked her like, why do you keep calling me comes up, comes out? And she said, because what comes up in your head comes out your mouth.
Right.
I was like, it's about right. Fantastic. So I just had to, a lot shapes us in certain ways that can look as children or in our immature state, look like an extreme.
Right.
Until he then guides it.
Right.
And then it becomes something that the world eventually needs. Right. Which is a person that I'm not ashamed of. I'm just not ashamed to share the recipes.
Right. Right.
Every generation has to learn from the previous generation, or how can we help? What is the point of each one teach one if we can't talk about our own personal experiences?
Absolutely.
So I got to give you the game.
Right.
But in order for me to give you the game, I had to be honest with the life that I've lived, the things that I've seen, the things that I've done, the trials that I've been through. I have to be honest with myself first. Right. That these things actually happened. And then I had to thank Allah for the lesson that I learned and be grateful for the trial so I could see that there's a lesson to be learned. But the lesson is not just for us.
Right.
Like for ourselves, the lesson is to pass down.
Absolutely.
So that's what I try to do.
Right. I appreciate that for sure. And another thing is that I love is that you you're from my perspective, right? Like you're very it seems like you're very grounded in your Islam, but you're also not like robotic about it. You're not like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, man. Like you're not robotic about it to where it's like, okay, you're a regular person. Like you do regular things and like, and when I say regular, I mean like not necessarily things of the world, like, you know, not things we're not supposed to do, but like I listen to music. You know what I mean? Like I like fashion. Like you know what I mean? So I would assume, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that like your upbringing and your experience had a lot to do in shaping you, right? And you mentioned going to public school after being homeschooled. Like what was that transition like? Like what was it like to go to public school after being in that like bubble, so to speak, of your Islam in the home?
It was traumatizing. And even that in itself made me become a very like, oh nah, I'm gonna just be myself at all costs. Okay. And again, it had to go from an extreme to then like leveling itself out.
Right.
But when I finally went to a public school, I didn't go to like the type of school I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to like a Black school. I went to an all-white school. We were in Pennsylvania when like before people of any hue started moving here.
Right.
So it was literally when my sister went to the high school, it was the statistic, because they had to do a breakdown of like white, Latino, Indian, Hispanic, black, and the breakdown, the percentage of black people that was in the high school was 0.01.
Wow.
Yeah, horrible.
Right.
And I was one in the elementary that I went to when we moved out here. I was one of 4 black students in the entire elementary school.
Wow.
And in my grade, it was just me and another boy named Romeo. Shout out to Romeo. We moved at the same time essentially to Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And it was just real sad for us, but it was quite the level of covert and overt racism I experienced made me just be like, oh nah. So I was I'm in Pennsylvania where everybody's like talking like this and Valley, and then I show up like like just making sure everybody's clear.
Right.
I'm a black girl.
Right.
Don't play with me. So again, I had to go from the extreme and level out.
Right.
But I had to put on what Minister Ava said, may Allah be pleased. Your personality is what you put on to be able to survive in the world.
Right.
And I had to put on a specific type of personality to survive in that type of environment, because that was from 4th grade all the way until I graduated from college.
Okay.
That was my surroundings, and that was the vibe. So I was very aggressive.
Right.
I was just extremely aggressive. And it was rough. I actually left school in my junior year. My junior year, I left school because I couldn't take it anymore.
Right.
Junior year of high school, I was like, I'm not graduating from this school, because if I do another year of this, I'm going to crash out. Right. So I left, and I was like, either I'm getting my GED or I'm gonna just be a dropout. I don't care.
Right.
But again, that even that zeal of like, I'm not taking this no more.
Right.
My personality of I'm going to do what is the best for my peace of mind.
Right.
And that is leaving this school. And I was like, I could get it on my GED, I could be a dropout, or I could just go to K-12. So my pops and mom was like, well, you could do K-12. So I finished high school that way, online.
Okay. So you kind of like went back to homeschool essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm getting out of here.
Okay.
But that even shaped everything. Everything is if we look at our lives, everything is a learning. Like everything things. Because here I am, everybody's going to prom.
Right.
Everybody's graduating from high school, and I never went to a prom.
Right.
Never walked across the stage, not in high school or college.
Right.
So it formed me into being okay with just being my own person.
Right. So. I love that. So when did like what would you call it, like fashion and like clothing and being a seamstress, like when did that kind of fit into like your puzzle? When did that come to your life?
That fit into the puzzle. Fashion has always been my thing.
Okay.
I've always been a fashion girl. I had my first pair of, they were kitten heels, but to me, they were 6 inches. Like, I just knew I was a bad girl when I was like, I think I was like 4 years old, and I just I remember these shoes specifically. They were patent leather red. They had a black heel on it. It was, in my mind, it was this big, but they were literally like this big.
Right.
And I wore those shoes down. I wore them with everything everywhere. It didn't matter where it was. I always had me a little purse. I just always had something. I was always trying to be glamorous.
Right.
Shout out to my mom for really kind of facilitating that, because I grew up watching her sew. Like in the living room, she would sew, and every week or so, bi-weekly, we would have what's called girls' night. And she would put us in like her jewelry and her clothes.
Right.
And some may have seen it. I had this picture when I'm about 5 years old, and I have like these big chunky pearl earrings on and like this blue dress and like chiffon on, and I'm like this.
Right.
And that was just the vibes.
Right.
So shout out to my mom for kind of facilitating like the desire to be fashionable.
Right.
And feminine. Or expressing femininity through fashion. I'll say that way. Because sometimes we relate femininity to fashion only.
Right.
And it's it's much deeper than that. But as I got older, I really just desired being a help to people.
Right.
So the way that we usually see being helpful is where people need the most help, the hospital.
Right.
So I went to school. I have a degree in medical assisting.
Okay.
So I went to school for that. And I knew 30 days in that I literally did not want to do that. Like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
But I'm not a quitter. Whatever I start, I'm going to finish. So I went through 2 years of college.
Right.
And I got the degree, and I literally have never worked in a hospital.
Right.
Not stepped foot. I've never used that degree. I just have it. If anybody wants it, I'm selling it. Just put your name on it. No one will ever know. But it just never fit for me. I just, when I found out that people would be in the bed one day, and I'm very sensitive as a person, cry off of anything. So when I found out, like, oh, like, you're going there and you're helping people, you form relationships naturally with these people that you're taking care of. And they're there on Monday, but on Tuesday you're going and they're not going to be there, potentially, because they're dead. Oh, no. Because I'll carry that with me for the entire month.
Right.
And certain things like don't just shake off of me. And death is one of those things. I'll just cry all day long about how sad this is. I'm going to cry harder than a family.
Right.
And I'm going to see them and be like, this is so sad for you.
Oh my gosh.
How are you holding up?
Right.
And it's just not going to go well. So I went through like a 2-year, I'll say like more like a year stage of just depression because I came out of school and I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life.
Right.
And then being a little itty bitty mini person that I am, 4'11", thin, clothes didn't fit me.
Right.
So I just started doing things here and there, just hemming stuff, taking things in, changing buttons, just doing stuff just so certain clothes could fit me.
Right.
And then from there, it kind of just escalated. And then A-Center was born. And I was like, well, I had no, like, it was not in my mind to do it. I needed a garment on Holy Day of Atonement. I needed a garment.
Right.
It was actually 10/10/15. And I just made a garment.
Right.
And then everybody was like,
that was your first time?
That was my first time.
Okay.
And they were like, hey, can you make me a garment? And I was like, okay.
Right.
Naturally, you do anything enough, you start honing in on the craft. And then that was that. And then it turned into wedding dresses and suits and all types of stuff. So,
yeah, that was an era. I remember one time I reached out to you and I'm like, I think you posted like a skirt. And I'm like, I need that skirt. And at the time I was living out of the country and I messaged you and I'm like, okay, I need the skirt. And I'm like, I think you took long to like get back to me or something like that. And then I'm like, so where's the skirt? Like you didn't ask for measurements or nothing. You're like, yeah, I saw a video on your profile and I got the size. And I'm like, is this a scam? And literally like I got the skirt and it fit me so well. Like
it was a army fatigue skirt, wasn't it?
Yes, the high-waisted. So like you know that has to fit, right? And when I got it, I'm like, that takes talent to like be able to see like a video, and it wasn't a still video either. It was like obviously I'm moving around, and to be like, okay, like I know the measurements and it fit me. I'm like, wow, like this sister is like super duper talented. So when I was reading the bio and it's like retired, I'm like, Even when I remember you being pregnant, and I think you either just had your baby. I'm not familiar with the timeline, but it was Savior's Day, and I was like, I wanted to really ask you to make me something, but I'm like, this is so inappropriate. I cannot ask her. But what like led you to like retiring? Like what led you to that? How did that come about?
Bro, sewing is such. Let me drink a sip of.
Yes.
Sewing is a task. It is a task. And when I say retired, I mean like in a Jay-Z way, right?
Okay.
I plan on eventually circling back to it because fashion is just, I love fashion. I love putting something together.
Right.
And honestly, the best clothes I've ever had was the ones I've made for myself.
Right.
Because it's coming out of my brain. You know what you like and what you don't like. And the ability to take what's in your mind and put it on wax and be like, yeah, this fits exactly the way I want it to.
Right.
I do miss that because the reason why I started sewing in the first place was because clothes were not fitting the way I needed them to. And I haven't gotten any taller. So it's like nothing's changed. Things are still too long. Things are still too big. So it does make it fun and satisfying and fulfilling to be able to like put something together and or see something and be like, oh, I can make that my own.
Right.
And I can make it fit me. That is super fulfilling.
Right.
What makes anything daunting is when you start putting a price tag on it. When you put a price tag on it and expose yourself, then that is a great way to lose the desire to create.
Right.
And the reality is everybody needs a team. Like trying to do it as an island was exhausting for me.
Right.
Trying to be the social media, trying to be the seamstress, trying to be the back end and the money management and the taxes and the numbers and it. And it was like people were getting their things later and later. I was getting more careless. I just was like, oh no. And before I crash and burn with anything, I'm just gonna stop.
Right.
I'm just gonna stop. And I felt myself constantly like getting to a space where I'm like, this is too much. So once I got pregnant, I actually hated the sound of my sewing machine. It was like one of those like food aversions that you get. I was like, I went to go turn it on, bro. I said, oh no, I'm gonna scream.
Right.
I didn't like the light on it, the way like the light. I didn't like seeing the needle. Everything about it was just like infuriating me.
Right.
Oh, can't nobody ask me for nothing because nothing's gonna come out well if I'm literally mad the entire time.
Right.
So I just stopped, and I haven't picked it up since. And there's been just so many changes. Like we had to renovate a house. So many things were just happening. That's like a lot hasn't even set me up in the space to be able to really like go back in it like full throttle the way I used to.
Right.
But if I ever go back to it, and I do desire to go back, the plan was before I got pregnant, because I had told myself I'm not sewing anything for anybody else.
Right.
I'm just going to, because there was a certain price point that I was trying to get to.
Right.
And I knew that I would have to market in a certain way to be able to get those certain eyes that I wanted to sew for. It's a particular person, and I still have them in mind that I want to sew something for.
Okay.
And they got the price, they got the pockets for the price point that I'm looking for.
Right.
And my goal was I'm just going to sew for me and my husband.
Right.
We need clothes anyway. I'm gonna just sew for me and my husband, and then everybody just gonna see how ill we are.
Right.
A cute couple with these fire clothes, and the wife made all of it with her baby. Right. And then that was gonna be the market. That was gonna be the way it worked out. And then literally, For those that actually remember our 2-year anniversary when me and my husband took pictures, and he has on this like brownish shirt. I had on a cream shirt with a belt, and we took all these like 2-year anniversary.
Right.
I was already pregnant and I didn't know.
That changes things.
So 2 weeks in, I was like, well, the energy's down.
Right.
Everything's down. And I'd never made anything since.
Got it.
I just haven't had the like that thing yet. But recently, maybe about 2 months ago, month and a half ago, I actually had a dream. But I hadn't had the desire to create or anything like that.
Okay.
I was moving towards more like mentorship,
Right.
premarital, the coaching, and all that stuff. And then I had a dream, and I was designing a skirt.
Okay.
I guess that's where I started. I was
Right.
designing a skirt, and because the first thing I actually ever designed was a skirt, and we were trying to actually outsource. Before I started sewing myself, I
Right.
was trying to see if I could outsource.
Okay.
And actually one of those flowy, high-waisted skirts.
Right.
Manufacturers are busts constantly, so you got to go through a million of them just to get the right one. So that didn't
Right.
work out. But I was I had made a denim skirt in my dream, and I
Right.
remember I still can feel the feeling that I had.
Mm.
And I was like, this feels like the very first time.
Right.
Of like, look, I did it, and it's perfect.
Right.
And I woke up and I was like, I'm gonna get back to it eventually.
Right.
I can't help it.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah.
It's all.
You have a question here. Brother Demetrius. Ask her about the black hat for Brother Demetrius. Moving on.
It's never happening. I keep telling this, I'm not making that hat. It's never happening.
There's no hat, brother. Sorry.
No hat.
That's good. I feel like it seems anyways like that you allow a lot of grace for yourself in like figuring things out. And I want to know like what that's like, because I know many people, and I can speak for myself, like I'm very hard on myself. I'm learning. I have been very hard on myself in the past, but I'm learning to give myself grace. But it's a learning curve, right? But how has it been for you in those moments when it's like confusing, or like I don't want to do this, or I don't know what I'm gonna do? Like, where do you go to? What do you lean on?
I lean on my nervous system. If
Sure.
something feels like, and we call this our self-accusing spirit, like that
Right.
messenger of Allah that lives in us, we can sense it by our nervous system.
Absolutely.
And if something just feels like, take a pause. Not to say that I've never tested the limits, because
Right.
like I said, I have burnt myself out constantly.
Right.
And then now I know I can feel when I am exhausting myself, or I'm at the brink of exhaustion. And it's like, hey, don't go any further.
Right.
Take a step back. Right now, I'm even at I'm at my mother's and father's house.
Right.
Because I'm like, I was down south exhausting myself, trying to mother. And it's like, who gets a cookie for exhausting themselves in motherhood? No, I'm about to ask for help, bro.
Right.
I need help.
Right.
This is my first child, and I'm crashing out.
Right.
So, hey, Mom, I'm coming up. She got the baby right now, and I have felt much better by being able to delegate and just even if it's just 10 minutes.
Right.
Hey, real quick, because motherhood is quite exhausting.
Absolutely.
That's just the facts of the matter. Like,
right.
There's no way around that. You have a baby and you're immediately a mother.
Right.
You're immediately breastfeeding. You're immediately changing diapers. You're immediately not getting any sleep.
Absolutely.
And it's not easy to navigate with when you're not getting sleep.
Right.
So,
I bear witness. I said I bear witness.
Word up. It's like, yo, sleep deprivation is real.
Right.
So I was down south just trying to do all the things. And then it dawned on me, I know they made a song, I'm Every Woman, It's All in Me, but nah, because that's the lie they told us.
Right.
Like, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. It is all in me, but it's not all in me at the same time.
Right.
So I have to be able to be like, hey, there is no token for trying to be the biggest and baddest
Right.
all day,
Right.
every day.
Right.
Because the only person I'm hurting is myself.
Right.
And then I give people the lie that I am just the biggest and the baddest, and I'm not.
Right.
Everybody needs grace. You need to give it to yourself. Like, so yeah, when I feel like I'm pushing myself to a certain point that I can feel my body physically about to get sick,
Right.
then it's time to rethink the way I'm doing stuff.
Right.
Because we all gonna have to see that casket, and I don't want to see it anytime sooner. And stress kills.
That's right.
So yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And I remember one time I messaged you, and I think you were posting something. At one point, you were posting a lot of these like funny videos, and then you posted it, and I'm like, oh man, I remember like your videos. Like I would be like honestly cracking up, like like not like LOL, like laughing out loud, like on my bottom. Okay, and I messaged you and I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember like those videos, and you were just like, yeah, I was like really depressed at that time. And it's very real. It's very real. And I want to know, because especially when you're a Muslim, even like not a Muslim, but when you're firm in a belief system, whatever that may
Yeah.
be, like people kind of like think that you don't have those feelings, or you can't go there, or you should just be strong.
Right.
But obviously, you struggled with that. So like what was that experience like, and like how did you get yourself out of that? Like how did Allah show you that you need to go on and do what you got to do, kind of thing?
Um First, what was that experience like? I'll give you
Hell.
this second. Hell, literally. It was so bad. But the reason why I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a my self family type of thing, or if it's a black experience. The
Okay.
black experience is when we are in shambles, the joke comes first, because this has to be a joke.
Right.
Like, no way I'm this sad. Like, no way
Right.
is this bad. So we're unserious as a society. And I love that the most about us, because we got through slavery just being able to still laugh,
Right. Right.
being
Right.
able to still like have a spirit of jovialness.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the joke is always gonna come first. I remember I remember in the deepest part of my like depressive state back in that time. This was like 2019. I was on the phone with one of my homegirls, and we were. All right, so neither one of us. Shout out to her. It seemed like at that time we were just trying to get a job, right? Because we were both in entrepreneurship.
Right.
Both in entrepreneurship, and we were just hating being entrepreneurs.
Mm.
And we was like, bro, I just want a job. Like, I just want to be a wage earner.
Right.
And we were on the phone for hours cracking up at how these jobs were not hiring us.
Right.
Like, why we're qualified. We were applying to places that we were so overqualified to be at, just because we just wanted to quit being entrepreneurs.
Right.
And we just laughed and laughed and laughed at how nobody would ever call us back. Like, we were being forced into this horrible state of hustle and bustle and grind. It's like, why won't they hire us?
Right.
But I remember that moment so perfectly, because we were both very sad and depressed.
Right. Right.
We were just laughing. But it took the edge off.
Right. Right. Right.
Laughter takes the edge off. So like when the minister is doing lectures and he's talking to us, he gives us a little joke, and then he says just a little levity.
Right.
Because it takes the edge off of very very weighty subjects that he
Right.
has to teach.
Right.
And that's what laughter does to problems.
Right.
It doesn't remove the problem, but it's like it just takes the edge off. It's like, what is that called? Nitrous oxide, laughing gas.
Yes. Yes.
It gives
Yes.
to you when you're like in labor or getting your teeth pulled, because laughter has a way of lifting the pain off, but you still got to go through the trial. Like, it's not
Right.
like
Right. Right.
that. But at least if I can laugh, and I think Jamie Foxx said it, if I can laugh, then I can survive.
Right.
The second I stop laughing, the second nothing's funny and I can't find the joke in anything, then boy, are we in trouble. So we laugh, we joke. Right. I feel like there was another question you asked though.
I was just saying, like, how did you get out of that? Like, what was the turning point, if you will,
The
of like
turning
getting out
point,
of that situation or state?
when I felt death coming up behind me.
Oh no.
Real talk. I felt it. I was like, if I keep living like this,
Right.
like the minister said in the Swan song, Allah will turn you to that which you turn yourself to. And while I'll use entrepreneurship as that specific story as a moment in time where we were just so sad and like, oh, that was far from the reason why I was depressed.
Right.
It had
Right.
to do with some other stuff, but
Right.
but Allah will turn you to that which you turn yourself to, and He said, and He will leave you there, and you will die there.
Right.
And that hit because at the year prior is when I made that turn. Like we say in our prayers, surely the original state of the prayer is surely I am turning myself to the Allah.
Right.
But the minister said to change that. He said, surely you are being turned because you're not wise enough to turn yourself.
Right. Right. Right.
So when Allah was turning me, because I recognized that I was going into like I felt darkness up behind me.
Right.
And because I'm a very jovial person, I had got to a space where it wasn't nothing funny.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is actually just bad.
Right.
And I had to allow Allah to turn me, and I had to be willing to look at the straight path and say that's a better path,
right
than the path that I was taking myself down, because you will indeed leave me there and you will allow me to die right there. And then it would have been, remember Aneesa? Remember that sister Aneesa? And I wrapped my mind around those type of like scenarios, and I was thinking about that when I was at that. This was 2020 Ramadan, and I was like thinking about that, like, ain't like we really think that life is promised,
right?
And Aneesa, you feel something up on you. Don't ignore that. You feel the death angel chasing after you.
Right.
Don't ignore that. Because it can be a car accident and you're out like that. It could be whatever it is that takes you out because you was somewhere where you ain't had no business being.
Right.
Doing something you ain't had no business doing. With people you ain't had no business being with.
Right.
And then boom, it's lights out. And now we got a different story, and then this is not able to happen.
Right.
So having to that moment of I can't continue to live like this. And the only thing that's going to get me up out of this is Allah. And I remember the most joyous. I went back to a very joyful time in my life, and I was 9 years old. And I remember feeling at that time so close to Allah. And I wanted to go back to that.
Right.
So I did that.
Right. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
And I find that that's like, when we say the straight path, it's like, it doesn't mean, to me, anyways, in my perspective, it doesn't mean like that there's no twists and turns. It just means that there's, beside the twists and turns, there's like a path that you can always choose to like get back on. You know what I mean? And one thing that kind of stands out to me is it seems like your parents, even like I mentioned, like the grace you have for yourself. It seems like your parents, even as you mentioned, like the school situation where it's like, I want to leave school, like they kind of allowed you to figure it out, if you will. Maybe I'm wrong. You can answer that, but like from the outside looking in, right? But
I would say that. Was there a question follow up with that? Because I want to be for you.
I was just gonna ask how your parents and your like your parenting played a part in you like coming back, like remembering the straight path in all of the turns and twists and turns of your life, kind of thing.
Got you. My mother was a little more down with it, like, hey, she does not want to go back.
Right.
My dad was like, you're going to school.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back.
Right.
And the day came for everybody going back to school. And I was just in the bed like, you thought I was playing? I'm not playing.
Right.
I'm not. So y'all might as well sign me up for K-12 because I'm not going. And
Right.
once I put my foot down on anything, I'm unmovable. I've been there since I was a little young buck.
Right.
I'm unmovable, and it does not matter.
Right.
So this is the thing. It wouldn't have made a difference if both of my parents gave me zero grace.
Right.
To even if both of them was like, oh no, you're going, I would have been like, no, I'm not doing it. Right. So little rebellion in there.
Okay. Okay.
But that's just when I was born, my mother said that, or my grandmother told me that when she first held me, my mom's mom, that when she first held me, she said, oh, she has her own mind.
Right. Right.
She's gonna make her own decisions. And
Right.
it's that. I'm just gonna make my own decisions. Yeah. But what was that question that you asked?
I was just asking like how your parents kind of contributed to you coming, like you always having that, basically having that foundation of your Islam, even when in your confusion, even in your depression, even in like you're trying to figure it out, like coming back to yourself.
They were very supportive.
Right.
They were extremely supportive. I was actually living with my parents while I was going through that stage. Right. And I said to them, because we were doing Ramadan, and I said to them, like, Ramadan was approaching, and I was like, I'm going to need no one to talk to me because I'm very vulnerable right now, and I'm very impressionable right now. So I kind of just need these 30 days to myself. And they allowed, I was just in my room and I was studying, I was working on myself. Like my room became a factory, like an Aneesa 2.0 factory place. It actually became like a womb.
Right.
And Allah was just working on me.
Wow.
And I was working with Allah to work on me. And I stayed in there. Essentially, I turned my phone off. I got off social media. And I didn't come downstairs but for food. And I did that probably for a good 2 weeks straight. And then after that, I started kind of sharing what I was learning.
Right.
And they were like, glad you learned that. Fantastic. Great. And it's not like I was learning things that they had never taught me. It just didn't click.
Right.
Like the idea of Master Fard Muhammad, though, I've always believed him as God in person. It never made sense. Like I couldn't, if somebody asked me, like I said, just because you're born in a nation don't mean that when you get asked a question, you can answer it.
That's right.
But going through that phase and learning more about Master Fard Muhammad, because now I'm making a relationship, like an intimate relationship with him. I wanted to know more about him and his coming and his how to prove his existence and how to prove his validity, if that makes sense. And I started sharing with my mom, like, hey, so I learned these things. And she was like, wow.
Wonder where you got that
It's
from.
like we've never taught you anything.
Right.
Like, you said it, but it didn't click until now. So now somebody asked me, I can do my best. And I feel like
Right.
I can actually guide them to where it's in the book, where it's in the Quran, in the Bible, and lectures, to use
Right.
parts of nature to explain it. Like, it can make sense.
Right.
So yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And I think like even I think that is what it's like, I think, for everyone. And in terms of like, you could be taught something, but if you don't understand it for yourself, you know what I mean? Like, coming back to the dogmatic thinking, if you don't understand it for yourself, then what is the point?
Nothing.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything. And it's like, we're taught there's no compulsion in religion. There's no
Right.
compulsion in Islam. So it's like, yeah, we can do all the motions, but it's like, if you don't understand it and you don't know it for yourself, then it doesn't mean really anything, right?
I remember a Supreme Captain saying, "There's no point in believing in something that you can't defend."
Right. Absolutely.
Like, wow, that's very good.
Right. Absolutely. And I want to talk about how you kind of like prepared yourself for, marriage and courtship, and like what that process. I don't know if cocoon kind of womb era was like that time, but like, what did you do to prepare? I know you shared before on social media, like some of the books that you read and some of the things, but like, what does that self work look like for you in preparation?
I definitely read Real Love by Minister Ava.
Right.
I read the Quran, of course. I've read pretty much all of Minister Ava's books that had to do with like that type of subject. Naturally Beautiful, that's a banger. Like, everybody knows that that's one of the best. What's the other one? Weapons of Self Destruction, by Minister Ava. Actually, also Closing the Gap book helped me with prepare myself. Anything that draws you closer to Allah
Right.
is a fantastic preparation, and anything that draws you closer to the reality of yourself,
Right.
and all of your good, bads, and the uglies, and actually seeing yourself for who you are and not for who you want people to see you as, or even who you want to see yourself as, but just like, nah, like, this is you.
Right.
Being real with yourself is a fantastic preparation for marriage, and that's how I strive to prepare myself for marriage. So
Right.
2020 was when I went into the room and was like turning back to Allah, and then I met my husband at February 6, 2021.
Okay.
So from May of 2020 and then February 2021, whatever amount of months that is,
Right.
I was like really working on myself. And to be honest, I'm still working on myself, because marriage is it's ever causing you to change.
Right.
So it's just constant. It's a constant change.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about the time? You mentioned the time, but like, if we're keeping it real, okay? Sometimes as a sister, you desire marriage, and
Yes.
you might be doing all the things, doing all the, studying and whatnot, but there's an aspect of that where like you have to have a lot of patience, right? And I guess further understanding of yourself, and also like what marriage really is, because I could be the first one to tell you what a bad decision looks like, you know what I mean? And what it's like when you don't take the time and choose correctly, right? So, there's, for the young sisters, and not even young, the sisters who are awaiting marriage, like, do you have any advice or any, like, encouragement that you can give us? And I also want to mention, like, That's the question. But I also want to mention a post that you made, I think like last week or something like that, about like your dad. So if you could share that as well, yeah, please.
100%. So was I patient? No. I was not patient. I was so freaking frustrated.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm like, oh my God. How long does it take?
Right.
How long does it take? And oh man. If I could go back, my first bit of advice, if I could go back into my single stage, I don't have any regrets because again, each one teach one, and it's unfair to have a regret because then we don't learn the lesson of how we lived our lives.
Right.
And be able to like give the game to the next generation, right?
Right.
About what it feels like to be impatiently waiting for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And because I know the value of impatiently waiting, then I can share the value of I know how you feel, but I really want to help you patiently wait and enjoy your single years. I spent my single years miserable.
Right.
I spent them so miserable because I was so wanting and desirous of marriage and family. It was just always around me. So it was natural for me to desire. Absolutely. Not only is it natural for us to desire because we're human beings and we desire connection, but I grew up in a 2-parent household. I grew up seeing people married. I grew up around a bunch of cousins and siblings. I grew up around with people, nieces and nephews, and just people around me. Right. So the idea of looking at a life that would possibly look like me, not having children, not having a spouse, not making my own clan of people, I have my own team and stuff like that. Like that was very scary. Right. And I was very anxious. And that's really what we think because we're making stories up in our mind of what our life will look like, avoid love. Right. And we're scared that we may never find. That is how we just get anything. Right. Because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your character. You fill a slot. The space is open for a man. You're a man. Be sitting here. I know. I see the red flags. It doesn't matter. We can work that out. Right. No, we can't. But we can work that out. Right. Just fill the space so I can give you all the love I have. And then we do that. And then they take it all. Right. And then if we don't choose right, they give none back. Right. So that is not what I wanted to do, but I was impatiently waiting. Right. Okay. Impatiently waiting. And my dad said to me, my father, I went to him and I was just like, Dad, are you guys not giving the final call to any of the attractive young men on the street anymore? Like, what's happening? What's happening? Hello? I was so angry with him. I was angry with him for the reason why I had no love life, right? And then now looking at it, that's the dumbest thing in the world because the audacity of me, the Black audacity of me to be like, the spoiled daughter audacity of me to do that to my pops and put that type of burden on him is ridiculous. But I was in the kitchen. My mom was in the kitchen with us, and she let him cook, and I'm thankful that she let him cook. Because otherwise, anytime that I'm talking to my father, like yapping like that and having that type of attitude, she would be like, excuse me. Right. You're not talking to my husband like that. But she just let me cook and she let him cook, and I'm thankful. And I was like, Daddy, like, what is it? Are y'all jealous of the young people? Like, why are y'all not giving the paper to the attractive young men on the street? The messenger said his best is still yet in the street. I don't see him in here. Right. Because y'all leaving them out there. All I'm seeing is 70-year-old men after 70-year-old men coming into the mosque, and I don't want them. Right. Like, I was getting so frustrated. And then he said, well, Aneesa, I remember just him looking at me like, dumb girl.
Right.
He never even turned his lip up or said, who are you talking to? He was just like, girl, get out grip.
Right.
And then he said, how many people, very calmly, how many people are on the planet Earth? And I was like, 7 billion. And he was like, well, how many of them are men? And I said, a little less than half. And well, how many of them are married? How many of them are white? How many of them are gay? How many of them are this? How many are that? And he was just reducing the number of qualified men that
Right.
I had to pick from. How many of them are in jail? And I was like, Eddie, what's your point? And he said, well, how many? And he tapped his hand on the tape on the counter. How many do you need?
Right.
I just need one. And I'm still
Right.
And he was like, so you telling me? He paused. And boy, did he cook. He left, no crumbs, bro. He said, so you telling me that Allah can't just make one for you?
Boom.
He said, so you telling me Allah stopped making men? That's what he said specifically.
Okay.
So you telling me that Allah stopped making men, that he can't make you one?
Right.
I was like, I literally don't even remember what I said after that. I just know I felt dumb.
Right.
And faithless. Like, dang. All I do need is one.
Right.
All it takes is one. Long story short, 6 months later, I met the one.
Right.
And he wasn't even in the mosque yet. Allah was still making them.
Right.
He was literally still, he didn't register. He was around the nation, all that stuff, but he did not register until January of the year that we met. Like just a couple weeks prior to me actually seeing him.
Right.
And
look at Allah.
Right? So my advice would be, Allah has not, I know it looks like it. I know we may be looking around like I was looking around and I'm like, okay, I see some cute ones. I see some successful ones. I see people, but I don't see my one.
Right.
Like, I didn't like what I was looking at. It just was like, I got to a space I'm like, where cute ain't just gonna cut it.
Period.
Hey, had cute. Cute ain't work. Okay?
Right.
Like, it got to be more than that. I remember asking my dad, and I went through a phase where my father was really, you go through a phase where you need your mom for certain things when it comes to men, and you go through a phase where you just need your father to tell you give you the game. And that time in 2020, my father was really working on me.
Right.
And I remember coming downstairs and he was like, because he was actually trying to he was looking out for me too. He was looking around and trying to see like, hey, you like this guy? Do you like him? And I was like, no, I don't like any of those people. You're trying to give me to like, I don't know. I don't want none of them. I don't want none of them. And then he finally asked me one day, he was like, Aneesa, what do you want? Because he's like, I don't even know what you type at this point.
Right.
You don't like anything. And he said, what do you want? Very randomly. There was no pre-conversation. I was literally just minding my business coming downstairs.
Right.
Like, what do you want? And I said, Daddy, I want God. And it came out of my mouth without me even having to think about it.
Right.
Because I didn't know, I didn't have a specific look. I didn't have a specific personality. I just wanted, because I'm just coming out of Ramadan and making an intimate relationship with Allah, that only a man with that type of spirit and love for me and heart, and the way Allah wrapped his arms around me.
Right.
The warmth. That is what I desired. And I didn't want nothing less.
Right.
And I said, Daddy, I want God. And then he said, okay. And I thought he was taking it somewhere else, going to tell me, you need to, bring the pedestal down a little bit, bring the qualifying characteristics down a little bit.
Right.
And then, because he said to me, well, that's really high up there, right?
Right.
And I was like, yeah. And he said, that's really high up there, right? And he kept saying, I was like, yeah. He said, well, don't lower it. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to lower it.
Right.
If you keep it up there, then that means he has to have a lot of equipment
Right.
to get up over there to get to you.
Right.
He said, but if you start lowering it, then all he gotta do is step over.
Right.
And boom,
right.
there you is. Wasn't no hassle, wasn't no like nothing. It was no
Right.
He just got to you. He said, so if that's what you want, then you keep that stuff right up there. He said, and you don't move it. And
Right.
you allow him to get whatever truck he needs to get, whatever rope he needs to get, whatever, anything that he needs to get to come up there.
Right.
And to get to you. And I said, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
that's the motto. I remember my father constantly saying, as he was working on me, him saying to me, you ain't desperate. Because at a certain point, even though he was working on me, I was feeling like a month is a long time to wait when you're waiting every day with a man in mind.
Right. Right.
In reality, the summer of 2020, when I was going in on my dad about where the men at, from the time that I met it was only 6 months.
Right.
You look at that from like outside looking in, it's like, all you waited was 6 months?
Right.
Yeah, that's it. But 6 months seems like a long time when you wake up with the thought, you go to sleep with the thought. You wake up with the thought, you go to sleep with the thought. And that's how I knew I wasn't patient.
Right.
Now I'm here looking, able to look back at it. That wasn't patience because I didn't give it to Allah.
Right.
I was worried constantly about it. And it was a weight on me. And that weight I should have just gave to the God.
Right. Right. Right.
And allowed myself to just enjoy my life. Enjoy my life. The man is going to come when the man comes. The time is fixed.
Right, right, right.
The time is fixed. If we believe in destiny and everything happens when it's supposed to happen, and the time is fixed. I was always going to meet my husband on a courtship call February 6th. We was always going to have our first conversation February 8th. He was always going to send his courtship papers in February 22nd, the Monday after Saturday. We was always going to get married September 1st. I was always going to have my baby conceive 2 years later, September 1st. I was always gonna if we believe that things happen when they're supposed to happen, then it's happened when it was supposed to happen.
Right, right, right.
So being miserable, waiting for things to happen, is just the only person you hurting is yourself. The only person I was hurting and the only person that was suffering was me. And I wish I would have just enjoyed my single time.
Right.
Because once you're not single no more, you're just not.
Right.
You're just not single anymore.
Right.
So, I remember my father constantly saying, like, you're not desperate. Because he saw me getting a little desperate.
Right.
Saw my countenance getting low.
Right.
And he was like, Aneesa, you're not desperate.
Right.
And I was like, yes, sir. And he kept saying it. You're not desperate.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. You know what? I'm not desperate.
Right.
I'm not desperate. I don't know who I am yet, but all I do know is I'm not desperate.
Right, right.
And I had to keep that in mind.
Right.
So that would be my advice. Enjoy your single years. Like, actually enjoy them. These are the time of reflection. Reflect on yourself. Spend as much time loving yourself as much as possible. I recently said this to a sister in a premarital counseling session a couple of days ago. And I was like, this time between, because she's courting, and I said, this time between the courtship and the wedding, the proposal, I said, you know, it could feel like anxious, like, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And I said, he's working it out.
Right.
That's a lot, but I'm also meaning like that man. That man is working it out. It's gonna happen eventually. If it is Allah's desire for it to indeed happen, it's gonna happen.
Right.
But in between time, in the meantime, that don't mean you just sit around like a damsel in distress.
Right.
Sitting up in the tower waiting for your knight in shining armor to come. Like, nah, these ain't the fairy tales. Right. You go learn about yourself. I sent her some assignments that she could do to like learn more about herself that had nothing to do with her relationship with the brother and everything to do with her relationship with herself and her relationship with Allah. And I sent some lectures that they could watch, like, you know, things like that. And that's pretty much what I do with everybody.
Right.
Your marriage is less about the other person and you getting the other person to bow to your will.
Right.
It's mostly about how connected you are to yourself, how connected they are to themselves, and how connected y'all both are to Allah, and then y'all come together and form
Absolutely.
something beautiful. But
Absolutely.
if we go into marriage with the mindset of desperation, and most of us do, go into the marriage with the mindset of scarcity, go
Right.
into marriage with the mindset of I want this person to fill the void, then that's why when we get in every little argument seems like the worst argument ever.
Mm.
Every argument seems like, are we going to get a divorce?
Right.
Is this the divorce? Is this one a divorce? And we spend so much time on pins and needles because we walked in insecure.
Right.
So
For sure. I love that. I love
self, if we focus on ourselves, then we walk in secure.
Right. That's
So
actual facts, because it's like in life, it's like we can point the finger at everybody and anybody and say this person did this and this person is doing this and this is why this is like this. But at the end of the day, like I even say this to my children, my older ones, it's like you have to check yourself. At the end of it's self first for a reason. Self first, like first and foremost, right? Um, so just to like kind of wrap things up, I have 2 more questions if that's okay with you.
I'm fine. Baby is probably asleep. Hi, girl, you got me.
Okay, perfect. Praise be to Allah. So just in terms of like, the like the title of the episode, right? Like mastering life, but like embracing the lessons. And it seems like you've done a really good job of embracing the lesson, even when you're kicking and screaming. We all do it.
Always got to kick and scream first.
Dramatic effect, right?
Yes.
But like, what can you say to somebody who maybe has a hard time of seeing the lesson in things, or like extracting the wisdom of a situation and like using that to get better? Like, how can somebody do that?
It's actually fantastic you asked me that question because I have a list of, like, when things pop up in my mind, I have a list of things that I'll be wanting to talk about to use as content. And just yesterday I wrote that.
Okay.
Talking about like life lessons, and when things look really, really bad, sometimes we harp on the fact that we hated we had to go through something. For example, right? Like most women, we've experienced heartbreak. Right? And sometimes we hate the fact that we have had to experience heartbreak and all the things that comes with that. But man, I've learned so much.
Right.
Like if we can remove ourselves from the pain of the experience and take away and walk away with what the experience did to us.
Right.
And how it reshaped us and reformed our minds, or how it was supposed to shape us and reform our minds. Because oftentimes we walk away with still the pain of what it did to us.
Right.
Not separating ourselves from even the pain. Like, maybe just look at the thing from a perspective that God would calculate it from. Right? So I'm going to give an example. Jesus, the mother of Mary, and Joseph, right? If we look at their situation from our measurement, that could be like that. If that happened in this time period, we'd be like, oh no, they're raggedy. Real talk. Joseph was married. Right? Mary was not married. But they loved each other. They were all childhood sweethearts, but it didn't work out the way they intended for it to work out, or whatever happened. And he had to go marry somebody else. Not only was he married, he had children. With the woman he was married to, who was not married. Then in a sandstorm, everybody knows the story, they conceived Jesus. Right? Jesus is indeed, or was indeed, a child made out of what we would view out of adultery. And from our vantage point, we would look at Mary as a foul woman, because why would you sleep with that woman's husband? We will look at Joseph and be like, you're raggedy.
Right.
You're raggedy, you just cheated on your wife. And we will look at Jesus as an illegitimate child.
That's right.
Like the Jews said to Jesus, it's in the it was in John or something like that in the Bible. And it was like, we have a father. Like, you don't have a dad. So we, from our vantage point, we will look at it like that. And if we were even married in this day and age, we would not even view Jesus as a child of consequence. We would look at this child and be like, why did I have this baby? Why did I do this to my life? And we harp so long on the pain of the experience and never look at, you just made Jesus.
Right.
You know who this man is? And 2,000 plus years later, we are still trying to live up to the standard of Mary. And the standard of Jesus. 2,000 years later, we're still looking at these people, and she is the most purest woman, regardless of the way we measured it. That's a pure woman.
Right.
Holy woman, she no fault, because God did a thing, and he had a desire in mind. He had the circumstances that he had in mind that would make a child like Jesus. That's why we can't even judge our own situations. We don't have the wisdom to judge our own situations, because we don't know what Allah is doing in order to make a specific thing. We can look at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. His mother tried to abort him 3 times. She was married when she conceived him, and she wasn't married to his father either. Sound a lot like the story of Jesus. But she loved that man. She loved him for a long time. But she was married. She already had a son with his half brother. He's the oldest brother. Like, and here comes this little light-skinned baby coming along. It's like, oh man, what do I do? But God did not allow her to rid that child, even though she desired so much from her measurement of the pain of what this experience would bring and the pain of the situation. Now I gotta hide this pregnancy. A lot after the 3rd time, she was like, I can't even get rid of the baby. So she gave her womb to Allah. Like, it's what it is at this point. Only so many wire hangers. Like, I can't keep doing this. Come on, this is bad. This is bad. So you gotta just gave it up. But look what we have, and look how that shaped him. Those experiences, that resilience. He was born with resilience. He was born with the ability to feel pain and to be able to empathize. Like, he was born with persistence. Because boy, did he persist. He was like, nah, I'm staying in here, boy. Ain't no way out. So we never know what's, and the minister is a perfect example of what it looks like for you to go through a painful experience, separate the pain from the lesson, but use the pain of that lesson to be able to help other people who also may be in that pain that you have experienced, but to say, hey, pain don't live forever. And there is a lesson in anything. And everything. The minister said in the lecture, I accept the challenge. He said the solution is inside every problem. So that's how I try to see everything. Like, I'm in a rut. But Allah, if I believe that Allah would not put on me anything, a burden on me more than I'm able to handle, then I have to believe that there is something that I'm supposed to extract from this that is separate from just the pain. So I can't hate the fact that I went through pain. The minister said pain brought us here. And he has a lecture where he's holding a cane, and he does this hour lecture with a cane. And I remember that was 2020 May. The first time I saw that, it's they took it down off YouTube, like they do everything.
Okay.
But one is the lecture called, or that clip was called "Pain Brought Us Here." What will we be? Where will we be without pain?
Okay.
Is what it's called. And he said, "I'm gonna do this lecture," because he was in so much pain. And he said, I wanted to address you in pain so you can see it.
Right, right, right.
What good getting through something looks like, even though you in pain.
That's right.
And I remember it was a little 7-minute clip I remember watching, and I watched it over and over again in that time. Because if this man can stand up, and if you ever had bad knees or a bad back or something, where it's like, you immediately decide to sit down, but he's dealing with more than just a bad knee, bad back. Everybody knows the minister deals with excruciating pain. And he wasn't on no meds.
Right.
And he's standing there as a bearer of witness of, yes, I am in pain, but we persist on.
Period.
I said, oh.
Yeah.
if he could do that, then certainly I can get through this. I'm a person that as long as I see somebody doing it, I don't care who around me has never done it. All I need to see is that one person has done this.
Right. I can do it.
I can do it.
Right.
I can do it. But that goes back to the original question of being real. Because if we don't share our experiences and the things that we have suffered through and endured, and strive to be patient through and leaned on a lot through, then how will anybody onlooking be able to be like, I can do it too?
That's
if we never share our experiences.
Right.
And we keep everything under the rug and we don't talk about that. Oh God, no. It's so boring. Like, it's so boring that we never talk about it.
Right. No, that's true. And it's a beautiful perspective. And like, I'm really like that too, and I was just speaking to my niece last night, and you know, when you're young and you're just going through it and you're trying to figure it out, and I'm just like, listen, like, it's all in how you see, like, the perspective. It's like two people can be going through the exact same thing, right? And one is like, hey, this is happening and I got this, I'm gonna figure it out. And the other person could be like, oh my God, it's so bad, what's happening to me? You know what I mean? And the thing is that the person with the brighter perspective is going to see opportunities, is going to see ways, is going to see lessons, is going to see like the next stepping stone that will bring you to clarity. Whereas if the person is just like, oh my God, what was me? This is so bad. Like, you're not even going to see it. Like, you're cutting yourself off from, you know what I mean? The opportunity and the source and, you know, Allah. And just to bring it back to like, if you see one person doing it, you could do it. And that's how, like, another way I've always felt like I never had examples in my immediate circle or life. But I even till now, like, I learned from everybody. I learned from everything, from the trees, from the birds, from like random people, old white man, like everybody, you know what I mean? Because there's so much to learn. And it's like, when you approach life like that, it's like, it's inevitable that you will master it. Like, you have to master it, obviously in your own way. Like, that looks different for everybody, but you will master it. So perspective is like so important. And I love that.
And I have to give you a shout out right now, because there are women on the planet that are like, you have 4 children, 4 or 5?
4.
You have 4 children.
Yes, ma'am.
You're a single mom.
Yes, ma'am.
At the moment. Right? And you have a podcast.
Yes,
and you're still communicating with your child, but you're enduring through the podcast. And I know they on the other side, like, wanting your attention, because that's what children want.
Yes, ma'am.
They want everything and more, right? But you're still getting through it because this is what you desire to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And then they benefit from seeing mommy endure. Right now, they're being annoying because it's like they don't really get it. So like, they're just calling on you that mommy. Yes, but ma'am. One day they're gonna be like, hey, yo, mommy really had 4 of us. And she really like went through some stuff. And I remember that time where you were going through some stuff. And I remember seeing you come back
Mm.
to the process.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was very inspiring
Praise be to
because
Allah.
sometimes we leave the process and then we snarl at the process because we had our most pain when we were introduced to the process.
Right.
And
Right.
so we look at the pain and that we attach the pain of circumstances to Islam sometimes. And it's like, nah. The blessing was that even though the circumstance that you dealt with was attached to Islam, when the circumstance left, you had Islam to save you. And that's how God guides. That's how he guides. And it's like, well, what was all this for? This was his way to get you to the mosque.
Oh my gosh. Woo!
All praises due to Allah.
All, like, when I say all praises due to Allah. And let me just be very, very clear and transparent and honest. I definitely did all those things. I attached it. I was mad, and Allah took me by my neck and brought me back. Brought me right back. Like, not because I was like, hey, I want to go back. Fun. I want to do this. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. But I am so grateful for the process. I am so grateful to even, like, when I say, like, when you look at things as lessons, like, I'll just share this real quick. Like, last year, coming from Savior's Day, not like this right past Savior's Day, 2024 Savior's Day. That was my first Savior's Day in 7 years. And that was my first, like, going to Savior's Day in 7 years. And it was my first Savior's Day back in the mosque, like, doing my thing. And even literally during that time, I was, like, reprocessing, you know? And on the way back, like, driving, I'm obviously in Toronto, so I'm driving from Toronto to Detroit. So on the way back, like, I don't know, Allah, like, something just came over me. Like, Allah was right there, and I just started bawling. Like, my children were in the back, like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Did we miss something? What's going on? And, like, bawling because I had this, like, clarity that I'm like, yo, Allah, like, Allah just put it on me. Like, I was with you the whole time. Like,
bro,
the whole time, the confusion, the depression, the separate, like, the good, the bad, like, I've been with you. Like, I've led you to here. Do you know what I mean? But, like, we literally have to submit to the process, and we have to not be in rebellion against the lessons that are given to us. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we might not like it. Yeah, but what is the lesson here? You know what I mean? We have to, I think that's when we grow from, like, knowledge into wisdom, right? And then ultimately understanding. But the wisdom is, okay, I don't like this, but it's good for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like this, but in the end, it's going to be beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, who knew that you were there yelling at your dad, being mad, and all, what, 9-10 months later, you would have a husband? All, what, couple years later, have a child and be, you know, raising your own family and all that? Like, we can't, even what you said, if we're looking at things from our own limited understanding, it's like we don't have, what is it, comprehensive knowledge. So we cannot make an accurate assessment. So if you can't make an accurate assessment, just be patient.
That
be quiet. Observe. Observe and be
just
there.
Observe.
Accepting the lessons and the information, because only in the end can we look back and be like, wow, this is a beautiful thing.
Real.
You know what I mean? So, man, you almost made me cry there for a second. I'm glad I didn't, but thank you. Thank you very much. Like, I appreciate your spirit. I appreciate your mission. I really do want to, let's just get into it, because, like, just to finish it off, like, the coaching and the coaching or, like, counseling, like,
coaching. It's really the
I
same.
feel like you're, like, such a great person for that. Right. I feel like you're such a great person for that, because you're, like, well-rounded in the sense where it's not just, like, one kind of way or one kind of perspective. So, like, how has that been? Like, what's the feedback been? Like, I'm thinking about, like, do you do pre Mira, know what I'm saying? Because we got to know, like, you have, even though like you're a young sister, like you have a lot of wisdom, you know. So like, how has that been, and what led you to this, and like, what's happening in the future? What's going on with it?
So, all my life, like I said, I loved the I'm a lover girl. Like I said, I'm very sensitive. So,
Right.
like I've always, like most girls, we grow up and we love the idea of marriage. I was the young girl that used to put pillows in my shirt so I can act like I had a baby in there.
Right.
Like, it was just also like cool to me. As we get older and we see marriages around us, the illusion, we get very disillusioned. We're like,
Right.
certainly this is not what God intended
Right.
for things to look like, sound like, feel like. And I remember when I was about 16 years old and just studying the marriages that I've seen around me, whether in my family or outside of my family. And I was like, there just has to be. I was actually in this house in the living room, and I was just thinking on like love and marriage and stuff. I was like, man, it just has to be a better way.
Right. Right.
I did not know the better way.
Right.
I just knew that there had to be a better way, because if this is the way that it's done, I'm never going to do this. I'm never doing this.
Right.
And I remember that moment when I was 16 sitting there and I said, when I get older, I want to be a marriage counselor. And the thought never came up really again.
Right.
Like,
right.
I want to be a marriage counselor. And then going through life and going through your own trials in love spaces,
Right.
and going through your own trial with myself, and going through trial in religion and my relationship with the law, going through just constant trials in every avenue of my life.
Right.
I realized that the reason why marriages, or I learned that the reason why marriages be not working is because we spend so much time trying to fix the other person.
Right. Right. Right.
And I was like, oh, the key is the before we get married part. And we can do it even inside marriage, because marriage is ever changing you.
Right. Right.
Ever adjusting you, and you're constantly troubleshooting and things like that. But if in the pre-marriage part, which is why I wanted to do pre-marriage counseling and newlywed, right? If in the pre part we focus on like self, like it's a program that requires you to focus on yourself and work on yourself,
right?
Then when we get married, we won't be so offended that when we find out that that person has frailties.
Right.
Because when we find out that the person that we love has frailties, we get offended.
Right, right, right.
Because unfortunately, when somebody has frailties, the people, and everybody has frailties, everybody has flaws, and we know we're not perfect, but evidently it's weird because we know we're not perfect as personal human beings.
Right.
But we don't think that the person that said they love us sees the imperfection.
Right, right.
If we did, we would not get so upset when they present our imperfections to us.
Right, right.
We say in the teachings, a reminder is a blessing.
Absolutely.
But it seems like every time we're reminded about the way we show up, we get so angry. It doesn't seem like you feel blessed.
Right, right, right.
So I've been studying. I just was like studying all of these things.
Right.
And I'm like, there's something here. There's something here.
Right.
And maybe if we work that out in the pre,
Mm.
once we get married, we can endure the difficulty of both parties having to we're in the process of evolving.
Right.
And marriages, we end up failing in the process of what is really just evolution.
Right. Right.
How do we get through the process of evolution?
Mm.
By focusing on our evolution.
Right.
So Quran says it like this, right?
Bring it out.
Well, Quran says it like this. We're going to go to Surah 5, Aneesa, section 1. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, O people, keep your duty to your Lord, who created you from a single being, created its mate of the same kind. So even there is a lesson for us before I move forward. Even there is the lesson. Sometimes we can even have in marriage an ego of God talks to me, he don't talk to you. And that's why I keep tell you how to fix yourself.
Wow.
I'm coming because I'm trying to fix you.
That's real.
No, that's not your job.
Right.
Keep
Right.
your
Right.
duty to your Lord.
Right.
Because both of y'all come from Allah.
Right. Right. Right.
It's not your job to fix. It's not my job to fix my husband.
Right.
It's my job to solve my own problems within myself. Right. And allow Allah to work on my husband because we both came from him.
Right.
Who created you from a single being and created its mate of the same kind and spread from these two many men and women. And keep your duty, it says it again, and keep your duty to Allah, by whom you demand of one another your rights, and to the ties of relationship. Surely Allah is ever a watcher over you. I cannot demand of anybody anything without my duty to my Lord.
Right.
It's also a duty to myself, being the audacity of me.
Absolutely.
And essentially, we do these things backwards. And I remember we were in counseling with Minister Ishmael. This was 6 months into our marriage, and we were tiffing. Okay, we were like, "What did we get ourselves into?"
Right.
And I reached out to Minister Ishmael. I was like, "Fix us,
fix
everything, please, immediately." Shout out to Uncle Ish. And he says something that when he's dealing with people within marriage, he always asks them, and it's the running thing that is constant with everybody he has had to counsel in marriage. He asks them, "How are your prayers?"
Wow.
How is your duty to your Lord?
Right.
And he says, and it's the running thing that the prayers be off. The duty to our Lord be off. We're not doing what we're supposed to do as it pertains to our relationship with Allah. So everything else falls apart. It's called life.
Right.
When that is not right, everything else just falls by the wayside. Because Allah said, I would not care for you were it not for your prayers.
Right.
So we can't get mad when he's not fixing something that we never invited him into in the first place.
Right. True.
So what do we do about that? So what do we do?
Right.
We got to turn ourselves and allow Allah to turn us back to him. And then I'll face this way, or what we do in what my motto in my mind is that when we say our vows, we're holding each other's hand, but we're having a personal conversation with Allah. Right. So we're saying I do to the person, but we really ain't saying I do to them.
Right.
We're showing that we're making a commitment to the person with a conversation that we're having to God.
Right.
So I have the idea of, or I've come into the idea of, when I was at the altar, I was holding my husband's hand, but I was making eye contact with Allah. And so I'm saying to cherish, to hold, for richer, for poor, so that do we part. I'm making that promise, and my husband's the witness of the promise that I've made to Allah.
Right. Right.
Because we think that the second that we don't like that person, that we could break our promise.
Right.
It's like, no, I ain't make this promise to you. I made this promise to somebody over you. It's over your head.
Not about
so
you.
I gotta keep this promise. Now that doesn't mean you go through hell and hot water either. Because a lot of hell. Okay, Allah does not desire us to be miserable. And there are circumstances where you just got to, in order for you to keep your relationship with Allah, I had to get away from you.
100%.
But if both parties are working on their relationship with Allah, hopefully we never get to that stage where I have to get away from you, because you're not essentially the problem. The problem is the problem. And if we're keeping our hands together and holding each other's hand, then we could get through the problem and stop fighting each other and just fight the problem.
Right. Absolutely.
Allah didn't kill himself because darkness was there.
Yeah.
He said, let there be light. And removed the problem, which was darkness.
Right.
But he didn't destroy himself.
Right.
Or just blow up the universe. Like, oh, forget it.
Right.
He said, the problem is darkness. I need light. I'm going to make light. Problem solved. I'm still here. Everything's fine.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's that. Right. Absolutely. and I like the analogy. I don't know. I'm not sure if like Minister Nuri said it. I don't remember, but it's like a triangle, and like it's the man, the woman, and like Allah is at the corner, like the top corner. So it's like if we're moving towards Allah, we're getting closer to, the closer we are going to Allah, the closer we are to each other, right? And I love that analogy. And just coming back to, again, it's always self first, you know, like we can only meet someone as deeply as we've met ourselves. We can't expect, another thing I was saying to my niece yesterday, is like, we can't be mad at somebody not showing up for us, or not loving us, or not giving us encouragement, or not, you know, following through when we don't even follow through with ourselves. We don't even love ourselves. We don't even show ourselves the same consideration that you want to like page somebody else for not doing. Like, we have to show up for ourselves first and foremost. I love that. I love that perspective. I wish you all the best in this endeavor. Like, I know and I trust and believe, and I pray that Allah blesses you to bless so many like relationships and couples and families and all of that. And like, can you share like where can we find you? Do we just like sign into the DM? Do we?
So you can do all the things. I have an email.
Okay.
It's Forever This Day Forward. So the company is called This Day Forward.
Okay.
We say our vows from this day forward, right?
Right.
But I want like from this day forward, like for real, for us to just have better marriages.
Right.
Better marriages. So I work with couples that are in the courtship phase. I also work with the brothers and sisters who you may not necessarily be courting yet, but you may be desirous of courting, and you want to start ridding some of that stuff up, because courtship is not designed for that person to fix you either.
Right.
We do a lot of that even in courtship. Like, this is not the time for them. This is not a therapy session. Courtship is not you come as a person that, with the intention that I am whole enough to be somebody's spouse.
Right.
So I work with all of that. And by the grace of Allah, and I use the teachings to navigate those things, because everything is found in these teachings. All praise due to Allah.
Absolutely.
And then newlywed up to 3 years.
Okay.
After 3 years, it's not that I'm saying like to hell with it.
Right.
But those 3 years be the worst.
Right.
They're the most, they have the biggest struggle tied to it. And I like to help in those stages. Now, people still do hit me up from other, you know, years and stuff like that, but I'll use it'll be subjective if I decide to work with that person that may be 7 years in to their marriage. Right. I desire newlywed stages.
Okay.
So Forever This Day Forward at gmail.com is the email that you can email to. Or you can go through DMs. Brother did that recently. Went through the DMs, but then he found the email. And he's like, oh, Here we
Right.
go. That's
Right.
it. But I'd rather the email because it's a little bit easier for me to like look through.
Right. Right.
Not
Right.
get lost in the sauce because I actually didn't see his DM.
Okay.
I just got lost in the sauce.
Right.
So it's easier to go through the email forever this day forward at gmail.com.
Yes.
And yeah, that's how
Okay.
you can contact.
Sounds
And
good. Yeah, contact him. If you're in the stages. Doesn't the minister didn't the minister say that if you can make it 3 years, then you can make it? He's like, get past those 3 years, was it? It was 3 years?
that's in
Right.
the key lecture, Keys to a Successful Marriage. He said I would not advise in the first year to be getting a divorce. He
Right.
said the second year, he said, or even the third year, because you still figuring out like what's y'all
Right.
thing.
Right.
Then he said if you can make it, I'm over here belching, child. If you can make it through the 3 years, then like you can make it.
Right.
But the gag is is that we're just not gliding through the 3 years.
Right. Right.
Like
For
the
sure.
work has to be done, a foundation has to be built in those 3 years.
Right.
That is
Right.
not 3 years of just because most people don't just a lot of people don't get divorced in the 3 year mark.
Right.
They get divorced in year 7, year 10, some people in year 20.
Right.
But making a foundation, which is why I wanted to work with the newlyweds.
Right. Right.
Because let's like build that foundation
Foundation.
of those 3 years, what that's going to look like, how to get through conflict resolution.
Right.
You may fall into a pit of like, hey, shorty don't know hygiene.
Right.
You don't know that until you get married, like how a person really deal with hygiene.
Right.
That's a huge turnoff.
Right. Right.
Well, how do we approach that to tell a
Right.
person like there's a
Right.
smell? You don't
Right.
like be mean about it. They may not
sure.
know. How do you
Right.
approach these things? How do you talk to the Black man with tact? How do you talk to the Black woman with tact? How do you say things not in a nasty, nice way or using mean words in a soft tone to get your point across? No, how do we actually just use nice words in a nice tone
Right.
to get our point across?
Right.
Instead of coming to your husband, yo, never spend no time with me. Yo,
Right.
can we just say, I really missed you today.
Right.
I really missed you today.
Right.
That's it. So just learning ways to get through the things so that we can have the tools in those 3 years that we can work out those tools, see what works, what doesn't work, what we like, what we don't like, so that we can have a better after 3 years.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Got it. Praise be to Allah. Again, if you're in those stages, reach out to your sister. I'm going to be reaching out to you soon. Inshallah. But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for those watching. I appreciate your support. I appreciate all the comments. If you're watching the replay, I appreciate it. This platform, the God Standard Podcast, I'm in the process of moving it from my old YouTube channel to the new YouTube channel, the God Standard Pod. So if you can subscribe to the God Standard Pod, I would really appreciate the support, and like and share with somebody who you think could benefit from this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.